So not too long ago, I made a video talking about the candidates of Minecraft's 2023 mob vote. Now that the mob vote is over, I will be discussing the winner, as well as some other things. So who won? Well, if you're not living under a rock, you probably know who won. The armadillo. This means we sadly won't find out whether the crab or the penguin are either more or less useful than presented, but at least we'll be getting wolf armor and we'll get to see how good that is. This pretty much ended up the way I expected it to. The crab seemed to be getting somewhat of a stronger following towards the end, possibly due to information revealed from Minecraft China. I might have more to say about that later, but ultimately I think it makes sense that the armadillo won. And just as I thought, the penguin came dead last. I'll have more to say about that later in the video. Anyways, congrats to you armadillo fans. You're getting what you want. And since the majority of the votes went to the armadillo, that satisfies the will of the people, right? Well, maybe not exactly. Despite the mob vote being over and the armadillo coming to bring wolf armor to the table, there's still a lot of controversy and stuff going on about the whole thing. There have been those who make voting fraud accusations, people who are generally just dissatisfied with the results, and of course the mob vote abolitionists. In terms of voting fraud accusations, a YouTuber named the Mr. Epic made a video discussing evidence that the mob vote had been botted and that it's possible the crab should have been the real winner. However, according to the video, although a Minecraft developer had confirmed that there were in fact attempts to rig the mob vote, said attempts did not impact the results of the vote, and the armadillo is still considered the rightful winner in the eyes of Mojang. Mojang, or however you pronounce it, armadillo, something. Regardless of whether or not the vote was rigged, some people are still just dissatisfied with how things ended up in general. Although the armadillo did get the most votes, both the crab and the penguin weren't too far behind. In fact, combining the vote percentages of both the crab and the penguin would give you a higher number than the armadillo, which technically means that although the armadillo won the majority of players didn't want the armadillo, from a certain point of view, of course. And of course, we can't forget the self-proclaimed revolutionaries who have rallied for the mob vote to be abolished. Leading up to the reveal of the mob vote results, their movement gained a steady following, getting to the point where the Minecraft live chat was being flooded with cries of #StopTheMobVote. Although they obviously failed to stop this year's mob vote since it's already come and gone, it's likely that this movement will still make plans to stop next year's vote as well as any future ones. In general, this year's mob vote has been somewhat of a source of conflict among the Minecraft community. Gripes have been made about past mob votes as well, particularly due to the fact that what people got from them seemed to ultimately disappoint them, as well as, of course, some other rigging accusations. But it seems this year things really picked up speed with stuff like that one Change.org petition that got a sizable amount of signatures. So yeah, things got pretty crazy. I'm not really sure what this all means for Mob Vote 2024. For the most part, it seems like Mojang has more or less either ignored or brushed off the complaints of the disgruntled, so it seems like they'll try to carry on regardless of what took place this year. Nevertheless, expect at least some of what happened this year to seep into the upcoming year. Anyways, who did I vote for? Well, I voted for nobody. Yes, once again I have decided to fence sit. To a certain extent, I kind of wanted to vote for the penguin because A, I love penguins, B, I sort of felt bad about them appearing to be the least popular of the choices, and C, I felt people were giving the penguin a bit more criticism than it deserved. Although perhaps the penguin may not have been as useful as either the crab or the armadillo, I don't think it's exactly fair to label the penguin as merely Dolphin 2.0 or just a retextured dolphin. However, I've kind of become unsure how to feel about the mob vote, at least as it's currently implemented, and I was also a bit concerned about the possibility that if the penguin won, it would end up being like the glow squid in the eyes of many. Although I've talked about how the penguin could be more useful than people realize in the previous mob vote video, a lot of that was still just speculation in the end, and I'm pretty sure people would still be in favor of the armadillo's wolf armor for the most part, and would think that the only way the penguin could possibly win would be if some attempt was made to rig the mob vote. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that line of reasoning, but it's still a scenario I've thought about. Regarding my stance on the mob vote in general, I'm not really sure if I necessarily see myself as being on the side of the mob vote abolitionists, but at the same time I do kind of agree with some of their grievances. Many interesting concepts have never made it into the game, and often what did make it into the game ultimately didn't live up to hype. The mobs tend to not always be easy to find, and when you do get them they often don't really have much to give. You know who you are. This year's mobs didn't really have much to offer to begin with, but we'll still have to see whether or not wolf armor is what people are hoping for. But anyways, in a nutshell, I decided to continue my tradition of fence-sitting the mob vote. This year was a bit different since I had somewhat of an inclination to vote, but ultimately I didn't because I wasn't sure I wanted to change my fence-sitting ways. So yeah, that's how that went.
Although I didn't end up voting this year, I did visit the Bedrock event server for the mob vote. Here I'll share my thoughts on that. I got a cape when joining. Apparently you can get more cosmetic stuff if you vote, but I didn't vote, so whatever. Other than the vote stuff, it had a lot of the same stuff as past Bedrock event servers, such as shops where you can buy balloons and stuff, parkour things, mini games, some other stuff, you know what I mean. A lot of the parkour was basically easy except for the lava one that I just gave up on after a bit. You also had these creeper balloons that you could snipe for tickets, which was kind of fun, and you could also get tickets from chests in some places. There was also this boat dock where you could travel to another island, which apparently was technically another server or something, but still part of the thing, and there was more stuff over there and stuff. You could travel back using a dock on that other island, but I mean, that was kind of obvious. I don't think I needed to point that out. Also, one thing I found interesting is that they actually did incorporate mob vote losers from previous years into something. They had them be these lost mob things you had to collect for a museum of some sort. That's kind of cool in my opinion, and I wonder if it could mean anything for the future. Or maybe it just means they remember those concepts exist. I don't know. Either way, I guess it's kind of nice that they didn't entirely vanish forever. Overall, I guess the event was fine. I didn't really get how some stuff worked at first, and after a while I got sick of certain things, but in general it wasn't bad. Aside from the voting stuff, it more or less just repeated a lot of the traits of a run-of-the-mill Bedrock event. Numerous aspects of this event, including the mob search concept, have appeared in previous such events. Nevertheless, I guess it was okay while it lasted. Alright, now let's talk a bit about Minecraft Live, where the mob vote results and some other stuff were talked about. Like I've mentioned previously, the mob vote abolitionists kept spamming the chat with their cries of #StopTheMobVote. This was annoying to some, but nonetheless it was pretty persistent. I don't think it would have had any impact on anything though, because I'm pretty sure Minecraft Live, despite the name, is mostly if not completely pre-recorded. Like seriously, I don't think it's really live on any basis other than that it's premiered as a quote-unquote live video. Not really sure if there were any Mojang employees looking at chat while all the noise was happening, but it doesn't seem like Mojang has made any formal statements or anything, so yeah. Anyways, moving on. I'm not sure how I felt about how they handled the revealing of the mob vote results. Like, they did this thing where they specifically outed the penguin as the one with the least amount of votes and then waited until later to reveal the winner. Apparently this is something they've done with previous mob votes, but still I kind of find it unnecessary. There's only 3 competitors, so arguably it doesn't seem like it would have been too hard to just say who won and move on. Why do this weird round system? Do you just need to make your video longer? It's already pretty long with all that weird filler stuff. I'll get to that in a bit, but first there's something I'd like to talk about regarding the penguins voting out. Remember when I said the penguin came dead last earlier in the video?
And just as I thought, the penguin came dead last. I'll have more to say about that later in the video.
Well, after that reveal, Vu talks briefly about how it's possible for mob vote losers to come back, referencing the case of how the frog came back after losing the biome vote of 2019.
But don't feel too bad for the penguin. Remember, our little frog friends didn't win the vote either, but they still managed to hop their way into the game.
This seems to spark some optimism, just like the appearance of the past mob vote losers on the Bedrock event server, but we'll have to see how long it may take for the crab or the penguin to potentially resurface in a later update or whatever. Alright, now that we're done talking about all that, let's talk about the filler content. There was tons of this, like seriously. I know that Minecraft Live isn't just mob vote results and the update reveal, but it still kind of felt like a lot of stuff was plugged in somewhat randomly, and I'm not alone in thinking this. Like, I guess some stuff was sort of interesting in some way or another, but at the same time it also kind of felt like stuff that could have just been in separate videos or articles or whatever. Maybe they wouldn't get as much publicity that way, but still. With all the filler content there was, it kind of made it somewhat hard to realize when actual important stuff was being announced. Like, I don't think I realized at first when 1.21 stuff was being showcased because I initially thought that it was just another weird filler thing. This might have also partially been because I was focused on seeing the mob vote results above everything else at the time, but I still think maybe they should have made the update stuff stand out a bit more. Since the filler content seemed to come in various forms, the only thing that seemed distinguishable as something important was the mob vote stuff, though even some of that was kind of just filler in its own way. Apparently there was also a thing for Minecraft Legends, which was about an update that I probably just saw as more or less another advertisement because of the way it was presented, but I don't play Minecraft Legends, so I don't really care anyways. R2D2, what are you doing here? Are you here to tell us that the special editions of the original trilogy are now non-canon and that Disney Plus will be replacing them with the older versions? Nope, of course not. You're just here to spread the word about some DLC stuff. Seeing as you're alone, I guess 3PO decided he didn't want to take part in this commercialism. Or maybe he just prefers Java over Bedrock, IDK.
Where do you think you're going? Well, I'm not going that way. It's much too rocky. This way is much easier. Go that way. You'll be malfunctioning within a day, you nearsighted scrap pile. And don't let me catch you following me, begging for help, because you won't get it.
Anyways, another aspect I'd briefly like to tackle is some of the kinda awkward moments in the thing. Like, they tried to make some stuff funny, but honestly it sometimes kinda comes off as, I don't know, look for yourself.
Our show is packed with all things Well, that resolved itself. Hey, Craig.
Hi, Lydia. It's amazing being here in Minecraft. I'm usually in Minecraft Legends defending the overworld.
Those piglins are a huge problem.
I know, right? Those evil little piggies.
So lovely to see you. What inside Minecraft is here?
We're all in the game.
Quite cool.
So, Agnes, last year you and...
Oh no, that's so cute.
Well, that's what we get for being in a game.
I love it.
Yeah, I won't necessarily say that it's the worst stuff I've seen, but it does feel sort of subpar, and it also kind of further highlights the artificial feel of this quote-unquote live event. Maybe you might say it's kind of cringe, but I might leave that up to debate since I'm not entirely sure how I feel about it myself. Wait, hold the phone. There's a Minecraft song parody in this? Is it good?
Digging down, down, digging down, down, digging down, digging down, down, digging down, down, digging down. And I can't stop myself from falling in lava.
You decide. The animated stuff was decent for the most part. That's because they got Element Animation to do it. Props to them. They've made and still make good stuff. Overall though, Minecraft Live seemed to be a kind of mediocre at best experience. I don't think I've taken time to watch any of the previous Minecraft lives except for some quick looks to do some research stuff for this video, but even then I kind of felt that this was sort of just meh. There was some decent stuff, but then there was other stuff that was sort of debatable in quality. It doesn't feel like anything I'd want to watch over and over again. Of course, I did have to watch parts of it over and over again in order to make this video. Send help. But yeah, it was what it was. It wasn't the best, but at least there was some interesting information in it, I guess. That'll wrap up this section since it's gone on long enough. Alright, so now I want to address one more thing that I briefly talked about earlier in this video. Information from Minecraft China. In the previous mob vote video, I had asked if it would be possible for the crab's claw to break blocks from further away since it had already been established that it could place blocks from further away. Sometime during the making of that video, I was browsing Planet Minecraft and had found a post made by Rob333 about additional information revealed by Minecraft China, which, among other things, answered my question with yes. Having read the post, I decided to add a note acknowledging the newfound information and thanking Rob for talking about it. I theoretically could have just removed the question, but it was already at a particular point in development and I didn't really want to make things complicated. But anyways, the way I see it, the information that came from Minecraft China had caused the crab to gain an increase in support. There's also newly revealed information about the penguin, but not really much that would arguably change people's perspective about the main advantage to players. There was no new information about the armadillo. It's still won anyway, though. Some have debated the validity of the information since apparently the Minecraft China post revealing said information got deleted at some point. But now that the mob vote is over and the armadillo is the champion, it probably doesn't matter that much. Now it's basically just a potential glimpse into what could have been. You know, I guess that's just the way the cookie crumbles or something like that, I don't know. Well, I guess now that we've talked about all that, this is pretty much the end.